Hi everyone. So today is Remembrance Day in Canada, and as you can see, I'm wearing my poppy, and I have been wearing it since I got it from downstairs. But for me, I don't just remember the Canadian forces. I don't just remember them. I also remember my Rhodesian forces and Zimbabweans and all those who fought in the wars to help Britain and to help the West. Without us and without our support, they wouldn't have won. And I tried to forget. I didn't want to remember the war and everything that happened, but I met so many people here in Canada that have told me you should be proud of your country, because your country, especially the Jewish people, they told me, and Eli Gotts is a Holocaust survivor. He told me your country is the only country in the world that took us in without demanding payment. Just imagine, they're coming out of war camps, out of the Holocaust, and they're wanting to go to live in different places, and people won't take them without money. That's what happened to me when the land grabs happened in Zimbabwe and all of that. I tried to stay in England. I was already there. I was already working. I had a job. I had employers who would vouch for me from Bovis Construction. They had partners. They had architect partners. They had engineering partners. They had so many different firms, and even the lawyers I had worked for before that, all of them were willing to vouch for me to stay in England. But they wouldn't let me stay. They wouldn't even talk to me about my situation. It was just like a cattle run. It's like, fill out this form, come back in 10 days. I'm like, can I speak to somebody about my situation? They're like, no, you can't speak to anybody. Just fill out the form and come back and we'll give you our decision. Then I went back there. Again, I tried. I said, can I please speak to somebody? I need to tell them what's happening in Zimbabwe and see if I can stay here because I'm already working. I've got a job. And they're like, no, the decision is final. We are going to be sending you a deportation letter and you'll get it in the mail. You have to leave by the end of your visa. I was like, oh, wow, this is the way you treat us. And remember, Rhodesia was their colony. It was a British colony. So they had passed a law up to a certain point. People who were from Rhodesia could stay in Britain, or they could apply to go to Britain. And after that date, they cut it off. I think it was 85 or 86, I can't remember. But anyway, I couldn't stay in England. And I loved London. I used to go for, they have their remembrance on the Sunday. So they have a remembrance Sunday. I used to go to the church. I used to go to the cenotaphs. Even here in Canada, I used to go to all the services downtown. Now I don't go, I just do it in my own way at home, because I used to see all the walls, and when you go to those cenotaphs downtown, you can see on there, some of them have Rhodesia. They have the Rhodesian forces, they have the South African forces. So for me, when I pray, I also pray for our forces who died in those wars, our Rhodesians, and our guys were young. So when you talk about values, even if it's for John Maxwell or the church or wherever, we can't forget about our own. And they were good guys. And believe you me, when I say I tried to forget, I did try to forget. I was like, this is in the past. This is a fresh start for me in Canada. I don't want to bring all that baggage with me. And I did everything here. I did it for the Canadians, volunteering for Canada, building up Canada, going to events. You can look at my LinkedIn and see how many places I volunteered at to build up Canada. And what did I get? I got a stab in the back. I got let go for doing the right things that I was raised as a Rhodesian girl to do. I got a stab in the back and let go from jobs, let go from companies. There was never any opportunity for me. There was never any promotion. There was never any bonus. It's always me. And This has been going on for 22 years. Yes, there were other people. There are other people who go into contracts and get let go. But every single company I worked at did that to me. From the time I came here, TD started it and it continued. Every company. And I tried to forget, but people kept talking to me about it. Talking to me about the Rhodesian forces. Talking to me about how good they were, how young they were, about how they used to go and help to win wars in Egypt and Malaysia and all these different places. And I was like, yeah, you know, I actually tried to forget about that. And they're like, no, you mustn't forget. You mustn't forget what your country did for the West. Because without your country, it was a small force, but the forces were small, but they were powerful and they were mighty and they were the best planners. They were the most feared in the world. So I remember my Rhodesian forces, my Rhodi guys. I pray for them. I pray for my family who served in the war, including my grandfather, my dad. I remember them. And I'm grateful to the people who helped me remember. I'm grateful to Ellie Goetz and all of the Nazi war camp survivors I met, because it is hard. It is painful to remember it. And it is difficult, especially when you're a child in that war situation. But I never felt unsafe. And you can talk to any of my cousins who grew up with me in Zimbabwe. You can talk to them. They also never felt unsafe. They never felt unsafe in the schools, going to our churches. We never felt unsafe. Here, if somebody comes in behind me in the church, I turn and I look if I'm the only one in the church. I don't feel safe in Canada after what was done to me, with all this taking me to have psychiatric assessments and all that. And then they're saying, oh, it was meant to support you. Support me how? By telling me that I'm stupid, that I don't know what's normal, that I don't know how to ask for help, that I'm delusional, that, oh, things that I see. And even my doctors have told me that you are the normal one. My family doctor told me, Dr. Ing, he said, there's nothing wrong with you, Belinda. Whatever you're going through now, it's also part of aging. Your body functions change. They don't operate at 100% like before. Your kidneys, your liver. But for where you are, you're good. You just need to watch your intake of your sugars and continue to cut out carbs and exercise and keep healthy. So I was very hurt by what they did to me. And I was insulted because I'm not stupid. And I'm a graduate on top of it. Plus I have a medical background. I worked in the medical field in Zimbabwe. I used to help in the pharmacists. I used to help with counting the tablets and all that from high school. So it was very insulting for me. Very insulting and very frustrating to have to tell people, no, what you are doing is wrong. And they're like, oh, don't tell us. You came here from Zimbabwe. What do you... I'm like, I'm telling you this is the right way. You don't want to listen. So you can't teach an old dog new tricks, and you can't take a horse to the drinking water and force it to drink. Just like you can't tell a baby to stop crying. It's impossible. You can't tell that baby, stop crying. Can you? Is the baby going to stop crying? That's how Canada is. You tell them and tell them and tell them, and they don't want to listen. And my doctors also said, he said in our foods here, there's so many additives, the food is not natural, it's processed. A lot of the cows, the chickens, the pork are not fed naturally. They're selling halal meat, that they're killing the animals at home, they're slaughtering them, and then they're selling them. And then they're saying in the name of religion that that's fine, and it's unsafe. They're saying that's fine. In the name of religion, that's fine. So I've given up because I'm tired. I've talked and talked and talked and talked till I was blue in the face. Now the banks are closing. We have a problem with money laundering. We have a problem in every company I worked. They had problems. And it was not my fault. So today, all the Zimbabweans, wherever we are in the world, we are also remembering our troops. We're remembering the ones who died and sacrificed for us. And me, I'm remembering what I lost, that feeling of being safe as a little girl. Even if there were terrorists, even if there was war, even if there was anything, I never feared, because my roadie guys kept me safe. We used to travel in convoy. We took precautions, yes, but never ever forget our forces and never forget what they did for these people in the West, because they don't appreciate us. They don't appreciate our backgrounds. They don't appreciate what we lived through. They don't respect us. They don't promote us. They don't pay us properly. And Zimbabweans, we deserve better. And the memory of our troops, of our forces, they deserve better. For Southern Rhodesia had the best troops in the world and the most feared. And you can go on YouTube and you can watch. I'm not just talking. People respected us. Now, today, they're messing up their own country, but they don't want to do what's right. Not my fault.